How you doing out there? I'm an old man, John Wayne Mercure, the Sonneteer. This is Chandler, Arizona, and I've looked how old people get treated around here, and mostly they get treated really good, but they haven't always. And that's why I write a sonnet about this kind of thing, because I read this poem when I was a little kid, and I remember it since then. This is sonnet number 1082, and I'm honoring this person. Over the hill to the poorhouse. An old person going over the hill. Why? There's no place to go. They have to go to the charity ward. Sensei, that's me. I first read about this poignant poem when I was just a boy, probably like 8 years old. People forget this kind of fabulous poetry, letting its importance die. It's talking about human beings, and we have to care about them. It said, let the good die young because of all the chances they get. It's also written cryptically in code that you always have to be good. And what good is being good if you can't have fun in this life? Life is so precious. It's beyond diamonds. Every second is more precious than rubies and gold. We have to survive as long as health permits. It's a burden, a real burden to be old. Everything wears out. Everything begins to hurt, aches and pains. The sting of a callous society that doesn't care, pushing elderly people aside. That's insane. That's crazy. I remember clearly watching my elderly mother, my own mother. She had really bad arthritis and her agony. And I was so ignorant, so stupid to adequately sympathize with her pain, my own stupidity. Young, what do I know about arthritis? Now that I am elderly myself, every athletic injury I've ever had has come back to bite me like a snake. And I remember me, I do remember you, how dreadfully those old injuries haunt me, plague me. Monkeys on my back. Gertrude Stein, she was a great writer. I really like Gertrude Stein. She said, we are always the same age inside. True words, true words. I am myself. I'm 25 years old inside. I know my body's falling apart. I'm 77, but inside I'm 25. Those were far better days, and just to feel that way, to feel like I'm 25, yeah. And every time you see an old person, you're looking at a survivor. That person has probably really survived some really incredible things and probably would never tell you about it because you wouldn't believe it anyway. Many cruel people, they make fun of the elderly. They mock them. Vicious jackals are they, because if they're lucky, they'll get to be old too, and then people are going to take it out on them. Every time you see an old person struggling to cross the street, you see an 18-year-old struggling to get out with nimble feet. Will Carleton, he wrote this poem in 1887, a long time ago. He wrote, Over the Hill to the Poorhouse. A chill went through me as a young lad when I read this. An old lady who used to be beautiful, she's being sent to the alms house, the charity house, the poorhouse. Her family sent her there. Once she'd been young and pretty. Now, by overwork, she was broken down. No pity for this lady. Her children sent her to Charity Town. I guess that is better than in some cultures, or so I've been told. They can't feed you, so they just say, hey, here's a loaf of bread, go, we can't feed you anymore. That's what they do to old people, let them freeze out there. We can't afford to feed them, we can't afford to feed ourselves. Elderly care in America is abysmally shameful. It's an utter disgrace. See old people just cast aside. The nursing homes themselves are a disgrace. Such miserable places. $300 for a day of care. $5,000 a month or $10,000 a month. Cruel bankruptcy. Nobody can pay that kind of fee. Please, for mercy, fall on deaf ears. Absolutely no pity for the elderly. Please remember, you may too someday be old, growing old, and sadly you'll be invisible. People won't even know you're there. The disease of public apathy may smite you with cold indifference. Please see yourself to be age 25 inside. Your death bed can be so very awful if you don't understand. Hey, all of us have to cross that bridge, okay? And I hope you all go to heaven. And this poor lady, I don't know where she went in the name of this poem, and I'm going to read it. Why? To honor this man. His name is Will Carleton, 1897. He wrote this poem, and I'm going to read it. Why? In his honor. This poor old lady, she's going over the hill to the poorhouse. Over the hill to the poorhouse, I'm trudging my weary way. I'm a woman of 70 and only a trifle gray. I, who am smart and chipper, for all the years I've been told, as many another woman that's only half as old. Over the hill to the poorhouse, I can't quite make it clear. Over the hill to the poorhouse, it seems so horrid queer. Many a step I've taken, a toiling, working to and fro. But this is a sort of journey I never thought I'd have to go. What is the use of heaping on me a poor person's poverty shame? Am I lazy? Am I crazy? Am I blind? Am I lame? True, I am not so supple, nor yet so awfully stout as I once was, but charity ain't no favor if one can live without charity. I am ready and willing, anxious any day to work for a decent living and pay my honest way. For I can earn my victuals, and more too, I'll be bound, if anybody is willing to only have me around. Once I was young and beautiful, I was upon my soul. Once my cheeks were rosy, my eyes were black as coal. And I can't remember in them days of hearing people say, for any kind of reason, that I was in their way. It ain't no use of boasting or talking over free. How many a home and a house was open then to me. I could go anywhere. Many a handsome offer I had from likely men, and nobody ever hinted that I was a burden then. And when to John I was married, sure he was good and smart, but he and all the neighbors would own I done my part. I worked hard too, for life was all before me, and I was young and strong, and I worked my best and smartest in trying to get along. And so we worked together, and life was hard but gay, with now and then a baby to cheer us on our way, till we had half a dozen, and all grown, clean and neat, and went to school like others and had enough to eat. And so we worked for the children, and raised them every one, worked them summer and winter just as we ought to have done. Only perhaps we humored them, which some good people condemn. But every couple's own children is a heap of the dearest thing there is to them. Strange how much we think of our blessed little ones. I would have died for my daughters. I would have died for my sons. And God, he made that rule of love. But when we're old and gray, I notice it sometimes somehow fails to work the other way. Stranger, it's another thing. They become strangers when our boys and girls are grown. But then there's Charlie, excepting Charlie. They left us all alone. When John, my husband, became nearer and nearer and nearer to the Lord of hosts, the Lord came and took my John, my husband, away from me. Still, I was bound to struggle and never cringe or fail. Still, I worked for Charlie, for Charlie was now my all, my son, and Charlie was pretty good to me, with scarce a word or frown, till at last he went a-courting and brought a wife from town. She was somewhat dressy and hadn't a pleasant smile. She was quietly conceited and carried a heap of style. But if ever I tried to be friends, I did with her, I know. But she was hard and haughty, and we couldn't make a go. She had an education, and that was good for her. But when she twitted me on mine, 'twas carrying things too far. And I told her before company in front of people, and it almost made her sick, that I had never swallowed a grammar and I had never eaten arithmetic. So 'twas only a few days before the thing was done. They was a family of themselves, and I was another one, and a very little cottage one family will do, but I never have seen a mansion that was big enough for two. And I never could speak to suit her. I never could please her eye, and she made me independent, and then I didn't try. But I was terribly humbled and felt it like a blow when Charlie turned against me and told me I had to go. I went to live with Susan, but Susan's house was small, and she was always hitting up how snug it was for us all. And then was her husband's sisters, and what with children for three, it was easy to discover there just wasn't enough room for me. And then I went off with Thomas, the eldest son I've got. For Thomas's buildings cover the half-acre lot. And poor Thomas, with all the children, they were on me. I couldn't stand their sauce. And Thomas said, I needn't think I was coming there to be the boss. Then I wrote to Rebecca, my girl who lives out west, and to Isaac not far from her, some 20 miles at best. And one of them said, oh, it's too warm there for anyone so old. And the other one had the opinion the climate was too cold. So they shirked and slighted me and shifted me about. So they have well enough soured me and wore my poor old heart out. But still, I'd borne up pretty well and wasn't much put down. Till Charlie went to the poor master and put me on the charity. Over the hill to the charity house, the poorhouse, my children dear, goodbye. Many a night I've watched you when only God was nearby. And God will judge between us, but I will always pray that you will never suffer the half of what I suffer today. I read that when I was a little kid. I'm talking about old people I've known, wonderful people. They're in heaven now. But we got to be good to each other, old or young. Can we do that? It to make you them, all right? Love those who love you. John Wayne Mercure, the Sonneteer. I wanted to give this man credit, and I did, and I'm glad I did. Will Carleton, 1897, Over the Hill to the Poorhouse. A true masterpiece. God bless us, everyone. Thank you for listening.